Hey guys, Video Fletcher, and welcome to episode 48 of Let's Play Smarter at Gears of War 3. This is a tips and tricks series where I kind of try to throw out the information that I've learned from playing Gears for quite a long time, and I just kind of dish it out. Sometimes I'll talk over my own gameplay, sometimes I'll talk over somebody else's gameplay that you can send in. You send that into samuelfletcher.co.uk and you head over to the editing forum, editing/gaming forum, and there is a submission page, so just put your video on YouTube and send me a download link, and if I think it's got something unique to talk about, if it's a unique game, then I'll post it. So that's a way you can get your gameplay kind of out there if you're struggling. Now, this one, and I'd like to say that I haven't posted this series in a while because, well, I don't just like to mindlessly throw them up, I actually like to have a talking point. And this one came out of the blue, really. So, you notice we're playing a 5-man team, and me and Drewston are in a party, and there are 3 others. Now, I'm going to be going quiet during periods because I want you to listen to the call-outs, because the main talking point, really...
I don't know you, but... My man Bojanga says you have a
So,
YouTube
apparently he knows me on YouTube, so that's a good start. So I thought, well, at least we'll have something to talk about, you know, when we're calling out. Because sometimes it can be a bit awkward if you're just straight calling out to people that you don't know. Now, the name of the title is How to Call Out Effectively. And this was the first time that, I wouldn't say we haven't played in a 5-man team, but if we don't play in a 5-man team, usually we're playing in like a 3 or like a 2 or a 4, you know. We never really ever get that 5th man. We usually have a space for somebody to join. For one, as it opens up a chance to kind of cringeworthy quotes in the air, but find a new friend. You know, if somebody's really good, then you can add them. But if you're always in the same 5-man team, then you're never going to get that opportunity. Now, after we came out of this game, me and Drewston both said to each other...
That's why I hate fucking Team Deathmatch, mate. We should play Execution.
So you can hear him there saying that he hates Team Deathmatch, and it's a lot of talking, okay? And this is the first game that we came out of, and me and Drewston just went to ourselves, wow, we couldn't listen, we couldn't talk, we couldn't do anything. I was blown away, like, and that was a lovely failing shotgun and lancer. But yeah, we were blown away. We were like, I've never been in a team like it. We couldn't hear anything, and with us playing in such a team for such a long amount of time, really, like we don't really play as a team, but just playing in the same company for quite a while, you get to know little things. You get to know the positions where your team go, and you start to be able to call out less and less because you know the roles that they're playing, and you only have to call out the big things, like the big changes in play. So say if I always know Drewston goes to grenades, and he always takes a 1v1, I don't need to call out that there's 1 at grenades because he just knows. But if I see 2, then I'll be like, Drewston, there's 2. Whereas if I was in a party with people that I didn't know, then I'd be, you know, there's 1 at grenades, watch it.
Come on, we can win this, we can win this, we just need to win.
So you can hear them saying, come on, we need to win this, and because they're desperate to get them down on lives. And I think in the end I was the only one who went positive. And I think, honestly, the only reason I went positive is because they were all playing a little bit silly. So instead of calling out, and I'll get onto the calling out, because it's quite a long video, so we've got plenty of time to discuss it. I think the reason we lost it is because they spent the entire game moaning. That's simply it. Now, we all...
He kills you.
You can hear them. They were so loud as well, as you can hear. They were so loud that if I was to call out, it was lost. Nobody heard me, and they were so loud. They were all talking at the same time that we couldn't hear them. So effectively, there was no call outs whatsoever. So you can hear this guy saying, "Oh, you should go back to quick match because playing against 5-man teams isn't fun." But I was saying, well. I said, I'm going 6 and 4. I said, these aren't great. I said, yeah, they're quite decent. I said, but they're not great because I'm comfortably going positive, and I'm comfortably going positive, and I should be going more positive if we were talking out. So
But see, these guys
So
keep
the
on
whole
respawning,
time,
so
even
it's
now that they've
ridiculous.
spawned,
Most
they're not
people
saying
are-
what did we do wrong last game, and what we did wrong last game was we just didn't control platform. So this time I'm like, right, we need to control platform, and nobody goes to platform because they're that busy moaning and talking that they're not hearing me. So I have to make some ridiculous push in to try break the platform on my own, which luckily works out. But then he dies and it's back to square one, so that push that I made, that risky push, doesn't really pay off. And for me, you cannot be shouting and you cannot be moaning in the game. Well, we just like to kind of not moan, like we'll get pissed off occasionally, we'll have a whole game where everybody's moaning, and it's not very enjoyable, and 9 times out of 10 we'll lose that game, because if you're moaning, you can't be calling out, because you can't speak two things at once. So, if you get pissed off, just hold it in, and just say, look, the guy killed me, he's now running to sniper. And your team will be grateful, and then at the end of the game you can say, yeah, that guy that kept killing me, he was really spongy, and everybody will be like, yeah, I found the same thing. But if you're all talking about sponging and bullshit at the same time, nothing gets good. So there he's talking about the pistol, he's just screaming random things, the pistols, the angles, and I don't know where anyone is. So he's like, and you notice he says there, why am I getting flanked constantly? It's because there was no communication. I had absolutely no idea where those 4 people were. So I pushed in here thinking there was 1, and the whole team ends up in there. So he's saying we're all over the place, and I was like, I agree. Because they weren't calling out, like, this team that we were playing had a terrible setup if you think about it. All we had to do, which is what I said, was they're set up opposite us, so we keep taking those grenades, and eventually after taking a grenade and throwing 2, we'll flush them out. We'll flush one out, then we wait for grenades to respawn, and we'll flush another guy out. And yeah, it is long, and it's time consuming, it's a bit long-winded, but it will work, and it was better than what these guys were doing. So how I call out, as we move on to, is I only call out the big things because I play in a team where I know where everyone's position is. If I'm in a team where, if I was to say I spawn in and I'm on my own, okay? So say there's me and my friend and there's 3 other people like I don't know, like this situation. My call outs will be a lot more in depth. Like, I wouldn't just say he's platform, because you don't know if they know what platform is. So I just say, yeah, he's up at the climb up block at sniper, and it is longer, but you know everybody then will understand it, because you can't, if you are trying to win, you can't really take the risk of just saying, oh, he's platform, because if they don't know where platform is, then the guy could run in there and die, and it's pretty stupid to do that. So the one thing that I would say is key is if you're playing in a party with friends, then you can make up call-outs and you can be a little bit less slack, because eventually you'll get to know where people play. An example of this is Raven Down. We played Raven Down 24/7 in a team for a long time, and it was the greatest game mode ever, I must add. And we learned lots and lots of call-outs. I'll give you an example, okay? And if we were to use these call-outs that we'd learn in a game with people that haven't played with us before, they wouldn't know what we were talking about. But for us, they were perfect call-outs. So I'll talk you through the call-outs, and I'll just demonstrate the example I was thinking that, you know, if I was to use these call-outs, like I say, people wouldn't understand what I was going on about. So at the statue on Raven Down, you probably know where the statue is, because it's a pretty clear call out. If I say there's 2 at statue, you know where the statue is. So there's nothing wrong with using a call out like that, because it's a common feature and people know where it is. However, if I was to say he's at Gringotts, you wouldn't know where that was. You wouldn't know where that was. Now Gringotts is the little alcove next to the statue, and that's because in our little group, we had a joke and we said it looks like Harry Potter's Gringotts, where people hide in there and they just disappear. So we call it Gringotts. Now, the little where the frag truck is, there is a little circle on the floor, a little grid, and we call that Donatello. And people will be like, well, why'd you call it Donatello? Well, it's because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pop out of a grid like that. And that every time there's smoke coming out of it, I'm like, oh, I wish Donatello would pop out. So if people are roaming around that area, we call it Donatello. if they're kind of sat where the statue is, those two front blocks in front of the statue, we call them early blocks because they're pushing early. And the little block that's attached to the Raven down looks like 3 triangle blocks set up in a triangle formation, and we call them baby blocks. So you could say he's going from Gringotts to early blocks, pushing round baby blocks, heading to Donatello, and all our team will know exactly where that is, and it paints a big description and we know where they're all going. But I wouldn't use those call-outs if I was in a game of people that I didn't know. I'd just say, yeah, he's near the statue, he's running 2 grenades through the little crack house, because everybody knows crack house because it was on Gears 1. So I'm going to end it, and I'd just like to kind of get that out there, because I think that call-outs is a big thing. If you're unsure of where people are, not where people are, sorry, where they are in relation to your call-out. So if you know they're at the ink grenade, hiding behind a block, you don't have to come up with something fancy like we did, like Donatello. That's just because we've played with each other a lot and we like to have a laugh. So just say, oh, is it the ink grenade near the bottom of the stairs, and just try spot him. Spotting is the greatest feature in the game, and people don't use it as much as they should. So the key points are, if you're in a team, you can make up call-outs and you can be a little bit slacker in your call-outs. If you're in like a group of people and there are other groups of people in your lobby, just be a bit respectful. You don't have to shout and you don't have to scream, because they won't be interested in listening to somebody moan. So just be clear in your call-outs and make them a bit more detailed, because, well, like you say, you might have created your own custom call-out with your team, but the people in the game might not know where that is. So just be mindful of that. And finally is just to simply call out. Like, even if it's a bad call out, such as it's a bit mumbled and people aren't sure where it is, as long as if you are calling out, then that's good, because, well, you can get flanked and it is annoying. And I ended up going 9-8, so I was pretty pleased to go positive against that, especially with the team that weren't calling out so great. But yeah, hopefully that covered a few talking points. Again, it's nothing too serious, nothing too in-depth, but I just thought that I'd give my little opinion on custom call-outs. So, peace.